What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to be covering the other Axon fragrance from Dumont that Perfume Box sent me. So those of you not familiar with Perfume Box, they are up and coming and like really making a splash in the last year or so as far as discount fragrance websites. They're an official distributor for Dumont, as well as they carry a bunch of other brands from Middle Eastern stuff, cheap designers, you know, well-known newer release designers, niche fragrances, and so on, competitive prices. They're right there with everyone else, I gotta say. But they have been sending me some Dumont fragrances over the last, I would say 6 months, 8 months or something like that, giving me an opportunity to check out the house. And while I found a lot of really good stuff from Dumont, there's some stuff that's always, not their best. And so far, so good with this line. Happy with Ultimate, the blue bottle, but here we're checking out Solo in the Axon line, the brown bottle, which is actually much cooler looking. As you look at that, like very much cooler looking bottle, I gotta say. And it is a familiar DNA once again, which my wife seemed to really like. I was kind of surprised. She just out of the blue paid me a nice compliment, and then we had a mild discussion briefly about it. She was so into it, so I was kind of surprised. So definitely wife approved. She likes it more than I do, though, to be totally honest. It's not their best work, but it's far from their worst work too. It kind of falls somewhere in the middle to upper tier, which we'll dive into a little bit further, so stay tuned. So I'll have the notes on screen for you guys. So once again, this note breakdown may look a little familiar to you. And it's not identical to what I think it smells closest to, especially when you look at the notes. But when you smell it, it's pretty close to Parfums de Marly Altair. I definitely get that spiced wood vanilla smell. Now, this doesn't list things like, because I did compare the notes just to make sure, because I was like, am I crazy or is this Altair? They don't have praline listed in this, and there's a few notes missing, but a lot of it's the same. And when you smell the profile, this definitely walks that path, kind of in that family of Altair, Montal Wood and Spices, Nico Sculpture, that orange blossom dominant, distinctive orange blossom, because not all orange blossom fragrances are created the same. Like this doesn't smell like YSL Myself, which is an orange blossom dominant fragrance, though the core of it still orange blossom. So here you get a bunch of woody, spicy elements to go with a nice vanilla and a dominant orange blossom that gives it kind of this, it always comes across as kind of this scratchiness, is the way I've always described this particular orange blossom smell. And again, I like this profile. I have several fragrances like this. A lot of the ones I just named, including a decant of Altair, which didn't impress me to the point to where I wanted to get a bottle. So especially having something like this, it's like I really don't need Parfums de Marly Altair, honestly, because this smells pretty damn close, both in quality and scent profile. Like I'm gonna call it up there of 85–90%. in accuracy. Now, is that exactly the fragrance they were going for? I don't know, because there's a lot of fragrances that smell of that DNA. Altair is not the most original fragrance either. So it smells good. If you like woody, spicy vanilla fragrances, I don't get a whole lot of citrus at the top. I get a little bit of a lemony bergamot kind of thing going on at the top. Just a little bit, gives it a little touch of freshness. Again, woody spice, the slightly drier side of things, vanilla sweetness. Very orange blossom dominant, has the distinctive orange flower, scratchy orange flower smell to it without making it super powdery or like girly floral or anything. Definitely a masculine smelling fragrance. My wife, again, turns out quite a fan. Quite a fan of this. And thinking back, every time I've worn something of this profile, she's always been a fan of it. It's just we ended up, she had questions. She was so into this one. So just to let you guys know, Mrs. TLTG, big fan of Axon Solo. So honestly, like I said before, I think she likes it more than I do. It's because as of late, I've been kind of surprised with the number of fragrances going the path of this profile. It's not some new profile. I feel like all of a sudden this profile has had a rebirth, especially since Parfums de Marly put that fragrance out. And if you're a big fan of that and want to spend a fraction of the cost, because this is in the $30-some-odd price point before the discount code down below, it's the same experience. It is. Now let's talk about performance. So I do get a little bit of nose fatigue here. It fades, and I know it's not the fragrance being weak, because about 2 hours into it, the receptors free up again, and they're like, okay, let's smell this aroma some more. And it smells not necessarily like I just sprayed it type of strength, but it comes back to life on me a few hours in. The longevity I've been clocking it at has been falling in that 6 to 8 hour range, just like with Axon Ultimate, where I think it's been nose fatigue for both of them. Based on the testing experience that I've been having, I think it's nose fatigue. It really is. Some do it to me more than others, just like some do that to you more than others, for those that realize it or not. So it could potentially be lasting even longer than that, which 6 to 8 hours is nothing to shake a stick at. And then projection turns out it's on the moderate side, where it's not filling a room. If you spray it heavy, you'll go nose blind quicker. You won't be able to tell if it's filling a room. You'll need feedback from others. But you start spraying heavier, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. And I would say about an hour to an hour and a half roughly before my nose starts to weaken. It probably projects more to the 2 hour range based on the strength that I get early on from it. It's just, I think my nose just is wearing out to it. And then with the sillage, I would call it again in that moderate range, because we're talking a few hours in when my wife had this conversation with me when I had walked by. So it trails pretty well based on the experience that I've had. So overall, it's an above average performer with kind of hard to gauge if it's really a beast based on the olfactive fatigue that I'm experiencing with this one. So it's at minimum a very strong performer across all three subcategories that I can indeed detect through testing and probably beyond. So above average, absolutely. Final thoughts on Dumont's Axon Solo. This is a very good fragrance. Very good. It's not my favorite profile. It's not one that I like having next level redundancy of, which the thing I have the most redundancy of is anything Aventus, right? That's probably what most people have the most redundancy of. Whereas this, I have at least half a dozen fragrances that smell like this, maybe a little bit more. Honestly, this is one of the better ones of the bunch. Like, I wouldn't take this over Montal Wood and Spices, but I definitely would buy this over getting Altair, because it's pretty much the same experience for me at a fraction of the cost. It really is. Up to you if you want to spend Altair money to have the pretty Parfums de Marly bottle, because it is a cool looking bottle. And that one, I don't get nose fatigue as quickly, but I still get nose fatigue with Altair as well. But I think this is a very good fragrance at 7.5 out of 10. If the Altair, Wooden Spices, any of these orange blossom dominant fragrances, these spicy orange blossom, woody vanilla fragrances, if you're a fan of that profile, it's definitely one of the better ones. It is. It's just not one of my favorite profiles. Not. I like smelling it. I just don't want to reach for it all the time, just honestly. But I can respect it. It's very well done. It is very well done. Wife likes it quite a bit. Again, it's a pleasure to smell. It's just not something that I gravitate to when it comes to the spicier fragrances that are on the drier side. I'm not looking for orange blossom in those situations. I'm looking more for incense. I'm looking for tobacco, things like that. When it comes to dry, spicy fragrances, it's not more so orange blossom and vanilla for me, is what it comes down to. I like the style just in a different manner. It's basically the best way I think I could put it, but it is a very good fragrance for what it is. It just doesn't blow me away. Not going to knock the fragrance. Fragrance did nothing wrong. It's of good quality. It's of good performance. I do think the bottle actually looks really cool compared to the other one. Believe it or not, I like this one more than the blue bottle. I don't know, that gloss metallic versus this brushed gradients and everything. It's just a cool looking bottle. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Well, that is my thoughts and feelings on Dumont's Axon Solo. Thank you again, Perfume Box, for sending it my way, so I was able to spend some time with it. Turns out the wife quite enjoys it, so from time to time, I will be wearing it here and there. Again, not a profile I get like, oh God, I haven't worn that in forever. I so need to wear that. I've gotten away from feeling that way about Aventus because I've got Aventus fatigue at this point as well. You know, some things when you just have so much redundancy of, it starts getting old, makes you want to gravitate to other things. And that's kind of where I'm getting at with the Aventus profile and all the redundancy there. Whereas as of late, I've been getting a lot of redundancy to this, so I'm getting a little bit of fatigue to it. So again, if you like this profile, this is a really good version of it, especially for the money. I mean, that's the big kicker. I mean, 30-something bucks. Performs good, smells of good quality. Kind of hard to beat for this profile. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe before you leave. I'll catch you on the next one.